Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Torchlight 2. So we were ending on a cliffhanger because there's this dust cloud that's about to hit me. It's also been a few hours since I last played, so I kind of have a feeling that something might just go wrong. Yeah, so getting hit by the dust cloud does do a minimal amount of damage to me. So we're in the Salt Barrens, which is this like dried up ocean-like area. Interesting. Just a lit section there. And so we're going back and forth, clearing out the overworld. Everything is working fairly nicely for me. The main thing is we kind of maybe just got a little bit too much visual mess with all the summons that are happening by our dog, summoning skeletons, summoning imps, summoning a group of zombies. And yeah. There is a balance issue, certainly. It is noticeable. In that there's too many areas here that are kind of empty. And so the swarm stacks, I guess, are where these flying bat-like creatures are going to appear. Come down eventually, and then you can attack them. Once again, the world being procedurally generated, I assume being procedurally generated, has become very stringy. I'm doing a significant enough amount of damage now that those armadillos are getting their shielding broken. And as such we can hit them and to kill them on 2 or 3 hits. It's still, that's just a shrine of healing. We've seen several of these. You don't really need to pick them up. A lock chest. Interesting. I've also reduced the amount of pop-up text that appears, so that the game is just a little bit more visually focused. Level 33. I'm level 32. But I can also put a marker on my map. So I am just kind of forced then to take on a vault here that I am under leveled on. And we'll just see how this goes. There are games, not a lot of them, but there definitely are some where even being one level below is just like exponentially worse instead of being just a little bit worse. And there certainly are some games out there that would straight up force the player to be at a certain level before you can even enter a section. So what I'm trying to see would just reconnect. And we shall see if it does or not. There definitely is a case that these piles of gold should just merge together instead of having several different items, several different piles. Like when you click on this chest, you get just all this gold, then I walk a little bit around them and I pick up everything very quickly. So why not just make that one pile of gold with the same amount? I don't know if that was an enemy or if that was just set dressing. This is another very dark area. You can see how it is very Lego-esque, how it's connecting different sections together. Which in fairness, the game has been pretty good about not doing that too much. Skull Crusher characters seem to be very strong heavy hitters. But not to any level that would actually cause me any concern. These guys on the other hand are doing massive amounts of damage. So yeah, there's constantly, I think, going to be room for improvement as far as your armor, and I think armor probably is the thing I should have been focusing on from the beginning of the game, instead of potentially trying to have dodge. Shows have, and very often are written with like an A plot and a B plot. I would make a suggestion that perhaps video games should have an A game mechanic and a B game mechanic, although it may very well be the case that video games need a C and a D game mechanic also. Alright, so this seems like this is just going further in that direction, so we need to go back and see if the dead ends are on the other direction. This game in particular does not have that feeling that there is a secondary game mechanic at all. It feels to me like it gets into a fairly monotonous left mouse clicker button, which every time I play a game like this, I get a little concerned that I'm wearing out my mouse, and I have replaced mouses, so I certainly am putting some wear and tear on just the massive amount of clicking. I guess you could click and hold, but I don't think click and hold would work on enemies. Let's see. I'm clicking and holding now. When I get to an enemy, I am now attacking them. So it works for you fairly well.
My pack is full. My inventory is full.
Yeah. But not amazingly well. Okay. Not gonna use that. Not gonna use that. Not gonna use that. Some of these feel very low. This is an Outlander class, so we can't use it. This would be slower, but the DPS overall would make it better. But I basically have to have a unique item or something that would give me something very valuable. And really, I'm at a point. Again, we get that lockup when with the first click. It's like there's a whole bit of code there that just loads in later. Yeah. Yeah. Either has to be a set item or it has to be a unique item. Are we getting worse quality items even though the levels are higher just because, or is it more of a case that we've just, I don't know. Mana, health, mana. This would be slightly better, but it's not something I can wear at the moment, so no reason to keep it around for only slightly better. Okay. This requires level 42, but we'll keep it around. All damage reduced. Mana. This is part of the Vizier set, of which there's apparently 7 pieces. And this is part of a different set that, while it is 2 levels higher, would give a lot less physical armor in favor of elemental armor, which means less armor overall. So you only really would wear that if it was part of, if you were matching the whole set compared to what I already have. We already went down here. This whole section connecting right here is a one-for-one repeat of what we've already seen. So it does look like this just ended right here. It does look like I can hold down the mouse cursor, the left mouse button, instead of clicking it all the time, if I train myself to play that way. But that is only going to reduce a percentage of the clicks. You still have to click when you're actually wanting to attack. Left click or left click. And this is where controllers really make their best argument, is that at least at one point controllers were designed to be a little bit more sturdy than a mouse was, which, yeah, if you were doing just PowerPoint design or something, you're going to do considerably less clicking, or web browsing, yeah, is a great example. Considerably less clicking. At least at some point, I would have assumed controllers were slightly cheaper than mice. Although maybe that never really was true. there certainly is that feeling
You have become more skillful.
that a controller is designed to be more of a toy-like device. Okay. We found out that this actually probably has been a complete waste. Because I'm not using great swords, great hammers, great swords, anything like that. So I should be doing this, either level this up, or maybe this, or that. I think that one's pretty good. We're running into maximum levels on a lot of these too, so as we level up. The other thought is I want to get my strength naturally up to 100. But I also want my vitality up. So, yeah. There's a lot of items I have specifically that are increasing my stats. Not particularly the best point either to send a dog,
Your pet has departed.
because we have nothing else to do. So let's just go down the stairs. This will be a nice test as far as can we take on a boss without the dogs and the summons. Yeah, and it doesn't really feel like there's too much of a change in the experience. Do feel like kind of heavy hitters, but I can handle myself for a couple of minutes without run a bunch of summons. Kind of a situation where it feels like the game is intentionally giving you smaller enemies for your pet to fight and kill. This kind of small amount of gold you get back for sending your pet for 2 minutes, 3,000 gold. I kind of feel like what may have been the case in the first game is that you got a reduced amount of gold by sending the pet. Maybe that wasn't the case. It probably wasn't, because then that creates a scenario where you're just encouraging the player to do the time-wasty thing that the whole idea of a pet is designed to avoid. That would just be extra mathematical mechanics that nobody really wants to do. calculate whether they care about losing 10% of the value of stuff. And I guess generally speaking, yes, you do care about losing any percentage of the value of the items, because clearly you need as much gold as possible for enchantments. And I'm not being willy-nilly about the enchantments anyways, it's just pretty obvious you need them. There is a possibility that when we get into a later game experience, we're going to find that the enchantments that have already been established are fairly weak in their percentages, and as such you may just want to remove the enchantments that exist on certain weapons and replace them with higher percentage levels of enchantments, or remove enchantments that are not really doing as much as you'd like. Okay. So I guess he was the big boss, and that is that. Again, maybe there would have been a side quest that would have sent us into that area, but maybe not. And it's getting increasingly difficult to just send back our dog, as we have poison armor, dexterity attribute. Can't wear it though. Yeah. And that's still locked. You can't buy a key. So let's just use the waypoint. Ossian Wastes. Ossian Wastes. Salt Barrens. Zephyresh is where we want to go. We don't want to gamble on anything.
See anything you like?
Okay. Sell all of that. Start with. And we'll just look really quickly to see if there's anything unique, which we really shouldn't have to even highlight it. It would just be orange, and it's probably never going to be in this inventory. Here we have another piece we can buy of a set, which it does at this point feel like that is the only way you get all the pieces of a set in one playthrough, is by buying them, to potentially never even use them, as that may be too many sets. Okay. Now we put a gem in. No, we don't want to get rid of the unique axe. Do we put a gem in? Unique. Apparently we've already dealt with that. And 3 level 36 fire damage things are not worth converting magically, I don't think. there's any other set items. An augmented weapon doesn't turn into a unique weapon either. I also just had an interesting thought as far as there might be different levels of the same set. So there might be a level 1 vizier set, and then there might be a level 2 vizier set. Okay. This one is Ember Mage again. Ember Mage and Ember Mage. So you're just really getting encouraged here to be an Ember Mage. This is Outlander class. This is a shield that we would never use. I think we do have to start to think about something more. This axe is one I think to keep. This is fine, this is fine, this is fine, that's fine, and that's fine. Okay. So we have some really low level unique items. Relatively low level unique items. Let's combine 4 unique items and see what that transmutation does. Okay. And then this is a level 35 vizier piece. What did we do with the vizier pieces that we had been running into before? Are we wearing the vizier piece? No, we're wearing the regent pieces. I'm gonna hold on to health stolen is an interesting thought. Critical damage, that was also an interesting thought. Ezra, well, let's figure out Ezra. This is Ezra, this is Ezra. Wildwood is level 42. This is level 34. So I'm gonna have to move some things around as far as the levels go. Ezra get us 3 pieces. Vizier. 2 of those. This is just a belt. That would be better, but when it's going to be a long time before I can use it, so let's think about that. And this is just another, it'll be a long time before I use it, item. We're running out of space. Enough where it now does just make sense to move all of our gems. Badlands, level 26. Falcon, Cloven Hoof, Badlands. Set. if I put this on, and then this on, and then this on, yeah, that set doesn't really work for me. That would be the set I would wear. Over organizing. Okay. Level 5. Level 19 weapon in the middle. Level 7 here. Level 15. Level 15. Level, let's see. Look at that. Level 23. Okay. Level 26. Level 30. Level 33. Level 34. Level 35. You're getting more sets per level. Level 42. So it'd be nice if we were just building up to 7 pieces. 10% increase the amount of experience, 10% increase the amount of magic find. If I could get a full Wildwood set, I would be happy to wear a full Wildwood set. Then you just have things that would be nice. Okay. Then we'll put this here. Was there a real reason why this set is not one I'm using just because it's a shield? So I'm treating it like a different character class. Okay. So then we have our Chaos Gems, which I'm not sure Void actually is the Chaos Gems. Fire damage, or turn it into a void thing. Which might really be the better move. So, sparks, chips. Spec. Yeah, so this actually isn't the same as that. This is actually the order. Shard is actually higher. So that would be about the best thing. Actually implant, so if we're gonna do something. Blood Ember chip here. 130 physical damage over 5 seconds. We could put it into a weapon. We do have a weapon here. We've killed 15 undead. So what I want, Chaotic Rift Strike, critical damage, stolen health on hit, acid rain. I kind of like this stolen health on hit. Just constantly healing myself up more. Critical strikes happen fairly commonly anyways, and just more visual effects is not something I really would want to do. So I'm going to put that into that. I don't think we have anything else that's socketed. And this will be a few levels before we got to that point. So I'm gonna leave these unique. This is the only unique socket ball. Leave that. These are parts of sets too, so but these are all different classes than what I have. We will hold on to that chip. And I guess we'll just trade those. And it kind of stinks. You're just in the middle of a game and you get distracted with this stuff. Okay, 4 unique items. What do we get when we trade 4 unique items?
You are fortunate.
We get a random unique item, which is this item at level 19. Which doesn't help me much. Okay. Now, if I do an unsocketed items and 2 things of equal level, I could add a socket to this item. So instead of translating those,
Fortune smiles upon you.
we can do that. So do I want fire armor or ice armor? I think ice armor is not terrible. So that leaves me with just that, and I could run back to the previous area, but it's kind of not worth it. Alright. Plus 4 mana is not particularly useful. So this guy can do 2 enchantments. This has no enchantments.
You are fortunate.
Now this has 15% damage to secondary targets. That doesn't sound bad.
You are fortunate.
And then 2% attack speed sounds really good. 2 enchantments, 2 enchantments. Vitality and focus, I could take both of those off, but I'm not sure that the enchantments you can get in certain items aren't actually limited to a smaller subset based on the type of item available. And this one says it has 2 enchantments, but it's just plus 7 vitality, so I'd assume that meant that it got increased twice.
Fortune smiles on you. You are fortunate.
And we just don't have enough money. Still.
Greetings, human.
Back we go to the Salt Barrens. I suspect the war point with the war image on it is probably where I last cast a scroll. Of a portal scroll. That'd be my guess. holding down the mouse button does not allow me to click on bone tiles and things like that. So that's still going to be a thing. I guess I kind of want it to be a bit more cinematic, where you reach this area with all of these sections and then just a whole bunch of bats pour out of it all at once in one massive attack, instead of it happening once and then you probably figure out what's going on, that it's just another way in which things spawn from a hive, and it's once again just a hive that can't really destroy or do anything with.
Greetings, human.
I'm called the Faceless King. I have resided here since the Zephyri and Ezra were one race. It has been my dream to reunite them by accessing the Vault of Souls, but the vault will not open without the mask of the royal line, which were stolen from me ages ago. If you can locate the royal masks and return them to me, I will raise eternal peace, unlock the Vault of Souls, and reunite the Zephyri and Ezra. Please, my mortal friend, help me in this war. Now, there's a weird situation here, in that this game is so simple. I kind of want to just take it on face value that that's true, but my cynical nature tells me that this is probably a bad guy tricking me. A name like the Faceless King does stand out as potentially being a bad guy. Certainly. Continue to walk around. There's a real danger here of me only looking in the top left of the map, or the top right, looking at the map instead of actually looking in the center of the screen where the actual content is. And that's why there is that ability to move the map into the middle, which maybe I am at the point where I should do that. It's not a pretty experience though, to have your whole mini map laid out that way. But we did just get a key off of a random kill, it seems. The map is once again going way further in a direction that it probably needs to. So yeah, in one case, I complain about the game. Enchant item with poison. Interesting. I don't know if I have anything specific that I could enchant with poison that I would want to enchant with poison. Can only do 2 enchantments anyway, so I imagine the cost is too high. So this may just be a place to come back and investigate later. So that you now just found a permanent location where something can be enchanted. And here we have a horn. We've blown. And that is summoned what looks like some kind of angel-like floating creature. I don't know if that's really what it's supposed to be. It says Guardian of Queens.
I don't have enough mana.
It's tough, to say the least. Mask of Queens found. Retrieve the royal masks from the Salt Barons. Okay, so that was one of the royal masks. Interesting. I want to go in several different directions. But the map is not making it particularly easy. Like there's this treasure chest here that we have a key for. That gave us mysterious pants, which are part of the Necros pant set. I guess there's nothing else to really do with that. He's basically running away from me. Alright. I'm gonna go back and deal with the phase portal as the last thing we do today. And I'm going to try and clear out the rest of the map up in this section without leaving unique items on the ground. It does create this weird situation where you kind of need to spawn enemies and then let's see. So there's a whole nother mask over this way. Don't know how I would have missed that. Oh, I guess these horns were just not here before. And that whole world is shaking. So these are... This whole overworld is one thing. Really getting pushed to go back into those areas. And so that makes a very tiny justification for how giant this whole world is. Well, I would say tiny. Where is? So with that, I've also for the first time, been able to take on a named enemy character. Just by right-clicking a whole bunch. Now, notice that you have a Faceless King quest and a Harif quest, both of which seem to be completed. Whereas if we look at our quests, the only thing here is the Shattered Visage of Lies. So we need to go talk to Harif and see if we're going to turn in the quest there. We finally may have hit a point where rejecting a quest is an actual valid option. Meanwhile, we will grind. Also, it kind of feels like we haven't leveled up too much lately. We are close, I guess, if I look at the XP bar on the bottom of this center of the screen. I don't think my area of effect attack actually destroys crates. Look. But I guess I will if they're kind of indirect. Directly in front of the area of effect attack. But the tendrils don't seem like they seek out crates. I suppose it is a question about whether these phase areas are completely random, or if they're structured in such a way where they think maybe your character is a little underleveled and could use a boost in gold or a boost in items. I wouldn't be surprised if it also is maybe a case where you can affect how often a phase beast appears, and thus how often you can kill that phase beast to have one of these phase areas open up by having minimal amounts of gold on you instead of hoarding large amounts of gold.
You have become more skillful.
That would be generally what I would think would be the smart move anyways. That's interesting how that turned into whole stairs. This doesn't feel like a game where sitting on massive amounts of gold makes any sense. These stores don't sell you enough high quality items where you would want to just go and purchase a whole new set of home or in every city. It's kind of funny because in fantasy anime series in particular, where it's almost the exact opposite, you almost never get an item drop while out in the field in those stories, and very often you're going and talking to a character and a shopkeeper to get new items. Whereas in video games, it's actually very rare that you would go to a shopkeeper for the good items. You would go to a shopkeeper if you couldn't find any other better option.
My pack is full.
Right.
My inventory is full.
Time to mess with inventory once again. This belt is probably better if it didn't if it had magic luck, fine, but it doesn't, so whatever. Unique mace does 200. So the question is, should we replace this that increases magic luck find and gold find with this, which does not? No, I don't think so. But I will want to hold on to it. Yeah, in a weird way, your first playthrough of one of these games, even if you're really not going to play a second time, still is very built around finding the unique items to look at them, even if you're not actually going to wear them. Yep. So I guess I just have a level of curiosity there. This longbow, still want to keep it. And while this says Vizier in the name, it's not actually part of the Vizier set. Skill wise, increasing my chances of getting full charge, increasing my health, or just increasing. Flame hammer. Do you think I just want to get flame hammer up? And then getting this up by 1. Getting that up by that. It really is just too much. Particularly when you recognize that a lot of these urns are empty. It's becoming a time waste. Getting quite a lot of islands, though. So I guess it does kind of boil down to, this is telling you the exact percentages of how many items, urns, chest crates you really need to run into, because the vast majority of them are going to be empty. So I just have to remind myself to not go turn in this quest without talking to this guy first and figuring out who is the actual bad guy as far as the masks go. Then I can go ahead and send the dog back. And while we're sending him back, we'll have him. Well, let's double check just to see how many identify scrolls we have. We still have actually quite a lot. So
Your pet has departed.
we'll do that. I've also got some spell inventory things. Do we have any passive ones? Let's see. Haste 3. Heal self. Frost 3. Always enabled, always enabled, always enabled, always enabled. I would want something that would just be always enabled for myself. Maybe I would get Frost 3 to the dog. He's at level 34. So there's a thought there. And then the rest of this, I imagine, is going to be sold. This is yet another Outlander only weapon or armor. So Ember Mage and Outlander would be my guess as far as the two character classes that were added in some kind of update later. Our right hand, which is this one, the Battle Breaker, is doing between 219 and 385 damage. Whereas the left hand is doing 354 damage every time. So we're trying to just push the minimum up. That being said, probably just is a case that I need to find a new unique weapon as soon as I can and start to think about replacing it. This just has that extra magic find and that extra gold. So I really wouldn't want to lose that. I have a 10% dodge chance. Whole bunch of numbers here still not very useful. Go ahead and just fill up his inventory. So let's see, pet spells inventory. He has summon zombies 2. This is summon zombies 2. I don't see a reason why you would do that twice. Draining touch 3, which would draw life from any foe. Might be better than this or Nether Imp 1. Okay. Move spell. Nether Imp 1. Learn that instead. But then Draining Touch 2 doesn't actually do anything for us. Haste 3 is a temporary spell. So yeah, I hope that's the right move. I don't even think you can actually sell spells though. So that does put you in this situation where you may just find spells and then maybe at some point you could transmute spells, a couple level 2 spells into level 1 spells. We haven't found very many fishing spots lately. We've never used any of the rejuvenation potions. And quests are not coming particularly quickly. I think the robot parts quest may go on for quite a while. Maybe for the rest of the game. So we're going in this direction, so I'm going to end. We'll take on these enemies. And then end just in this spot. And that'll be the end of this episode. Just make sure I killed everything. Okay. So there's two ways you could end an hour worth of gameplay here. It feels like we're about 13 hours of gameplay into the game, legitimate gameplay, not just leaving the game paused, which the in-game counter is counting pause time, I think. It could be that was an hour of more of the same, or you could say that was an hour of good progress. And so let's be positive and say that was an hour of good progress. The admission at the beginning is that these kinds of games are going to be grindy and repetitive. to a level that's higher than what your average game these days are. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and keep on watching. Thanks.